Hey everybody, welcome back. I started this series called Analog Addicts a while ago, 2 months to be exact, according to YouTube, and I haven't done an updated video since. I wanted to catch up with all of you. I hope you all had a really fun fountain pen day. Before I start talking about fountain pen day and things that I've picked up recently, I wanted to say thank you to anybody who participated in my pen sale. It was very successful. I sold out of just about everything that I offered, and I was overwhelmed by the response. By now, everybody should have their pens, and I hope that you are all enjoying them. Thank you so much for participating in that sale. I've already started to identify new pens for the next wave. Letting go of that first round of pens kind of unlocked a little something in me. I've been feeling a little guilty about the size of my collection these days. We're actually getting ready to do some home renovations. I find it really funny when I go and look at countertops or appliances or paint or lamps or whatever it is, and I think of the prices of things, and then I compare them to some of the pens I've purchased over the past few years. It sometimes stops me in my tracks. Sometimes I'm a little embarrassed by what I've spent on pens. And I think on Fountain Pen Day, I struggled a little bit because I felt this compulsion to have to get something. I spent more time looking at things to purchase instead of just enjoying my pens. Don't get me wrong, I had a really nice day, and actually I've kind of thought of it as Fountain Pen Day weekend. I journaled a little bit more than I typically do. I actually cleaned my area. Things had gotten kind of messy upstairs. I'd been traveling a little bit. We went to New York a couple weeks ago, so I got everything tidied up and it felt really nice. And I also started to pull things out for 2026. I'm getting very close to filming my updated journal ecosystem and sharing with you what I will be using in 2026. So that was all great. But then I found myself online. I had some credit at Apple Boom and at Atlas, and unfortunately that kind of burns a hole in my pocket, whether I need something or not. Tell me if you are like that at all, or if you can just like look at a gift card or store credit and not think about what to use it on. On Sunday night, I was literally up until midnight on the Apple Boom website with my finger on add to cart on a few items. And in the end, I didn't get anything at Apple Boom. I was going to get another Scribo. I have a real weak spot for Scribos. I only like to get them when there's a promotion or a sale, and Apple Boom had 20% off, and then I had some store credit, so it made it much more affordable. But something was preventing me from checking out. I love my Scribo collection, and in fact, all weekend, I was using my Zaragoza pen, which is relatively new, and I love this pen. I'm like, why are you thinking about another Scribo when you have this one you love? Right around the same time that I got this Zaragoza, I had gotten the Dandy. This is a medium 18 karat gold nib, and this is the Ladotta model, which I love. And then the Dandy is the Scribo Feel, which has the facets. That one had a custom grind done by Annabelle, and it's a beautiful architect nib. Not to mention the Orfici that I got at the Dutch Pen Show, the Madalena, which I think was my first purchase. Like, I have all these Scribos. I'm like, just enjoy what you have, Lori. So I want to take today's episode to talk a little bit about my own struggles with always thinking of the next thing. I have made a real effort in my work life with regards to my thrifting business and in my home to declutter, but admittedly, I have kind of channeled all of my excessiveness into pens. They don't take up as much room. I get affiliate credits, which kind of justifies some of the purchases. The one beautiful thing about this hobby is I do love it. And it's not like I buy my pens and don't use them, but I just have so many. So I don't know. I haven't stopped purchasing pens. In fact, I did end up getting one pen. Gold Spot Pens is fantastic. And they had 10% off their clearance items. They had the M800 in the transparent green on sale, and then it was an additional 10% off, and they had the tiered system. If you made a purchase, you got stickers. If you spent a certain amount, you got the little crab pen holder. You could get a Lamy All-Star if you spent a certain amount. So between the sale on the M800, the 10% off, the store credit that I had, and the promotional products, I thought that that was a really good thing to go for. But I did not get get anything from Atlas, and they were having the most incredible deals. And I also did not get anything from Apple Boom. Ultimately, the reason I decided not to get the Scribo was because it had a broad nib. And I have another Scribo already. It's a really juicy nib. And I thought to myself, I'm going to be in the same situation. The one that I was looking at was the Ambra, which is really beautiful. The Gold Spot and Apple Boom only have that pen left with a broad nib. So until I can speak to Yost at Apple Boom and see if I could maybe have it ground down to a medium Cursive Smooth Italic or like a medium stub, I think that I'm going to wait on that. Well, I did wait on that, and now the sale's over. So I guess we'll see what happens on Black Friday. The other pen that I had in my cart was the Leonardo Fiore Lampone Salvatico, which is a pen I was looking for when I went to Rome, and I ended up getting a different pen at Stilo e Stile. It's a Fiore that has really beautiful shades of pink and brown, and it wasn't available at the time. And still on Apple Boom's website, it's not available for a couple weeks. It wouldn't ship. So I don't think it's a pen that's in stock yet. The last thing that I was contemplating is a 14 karat gold nib from Lamy. I've heard so many great things about the Lamy gold nib. I am not a big fan of the Lamy 2000. It's one of the pens I'm either going to give to my son or I'm going to sell. And I thought to myself, I really love the Lamy Safari. I have a few Safaris. Some of them are limited edition. A couple I got in Japan and they're really special. And I just thought, I wonder if I had that gold nib that I could swap between all of my Lamy Safaris, how much more I would use those pens instead of getting a new pen. That is something I am definitely going to do. And then if I really like the way that that writes, I think that'll be a little bit easier to let go of my Lamy 2000, which I just don't reach for. So shortly after my sale, I ended up getting a pen secondhand, and I filmed a whole video about it. And then I scrapped the video because I ran into a little bit of a roadblock with this pen. And then I immediately thought I was going to sell it. I found this pen from Visconti secondhand. This is the Visconti Ragtime Acryloid, yellow gold, 14 karat, piston fill, limited edition. This was released in 2008. So it's almost 20 years old, and it was a limited edition for Visconti's 20th anniversary, if I'm not mistaken. I get very excited when pens come in. I never understand when people say, I've had this pen for X amount of days and I haven't inked it up. I ink pens up like immediately. I'm like a kid on Christmas morning when I get a new pen. That's what I did with this pen. Not thinking, Lori, it's used. Perhaps you need to clean it. So I immediately dipped this into ink, like just not thinking. I drew some ink up and everything felt dry and crusty. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what have I done? Then I looked here and this was the ink that it came with. I didn't even open it. Anyways, whoever had this pen must have just used this ink, which again, I admire that. Somebody who just had one pen and maybe one bottle of ink is how I romanticized this pen. And somebody really loved it. And then they got rid of it with the original ink, which is just about empty. This took me hours and hours to clean. It became a labor of love. I'm like, I am going to clean this pen, damn it, and see if I can bring this back to life. The nib is in beautiful condition. It writes beautifully. I actually just inked it up with Amarillo's Toasty Joggers. It's a really beautiful combination, but I definitely was thinking this was a bad purchase, and it was on the heels of my big sale. The thing that I'm waiting to get is the Mont Blanc 149 in Burgundy. I am on the wait list at my Mont Blanc boutique in Boston. My sales associate has promised me he was going to call me. The gym that I go to is at the Prudential Center in Boston, and Copley Plaza, which is attached to the Prudential Center, is where the Mont Blanc boutique is. So it's very easy to walk from the gym at the Prudential Center over to Mont Blanc. I walked by a second time and I peeked my head in and he's like, your pen's still not here. I promise I'll call you. So now I feel like I can't go back into the store because I think the guy thinks I'm stalking him. But really, I just happen to be in the area when I go in, and it's always fun to poke around. They just came out with the Queen pen, the band Queen, and they have a limited edition ink that goes with that. I feel like Mont Blanc is always coming out with more red inks, and I don't need another red ink. I like the Heritage Red. The Olympic Heritage Red is really pretty. It's crazy with some of these inks from Mont Blanc because once they're not available, the price skyrockets. And I have that fear that, oh, well, what if I want it in a year and it's not available? the answer is there'll be another red ink that could be comparable. So I will be fine, but I'm waiting on that burgundy pen. In the meantime, this is so clean, it's like brand new. So I'm giving it another shot. My hesitation with this is that it's a thinner pen than I am used to, but these swirls are really so beautiful. It's got a small grip section, but it's perfect for my hand. It's really lovely. I may use it for a while and then sell it. So this is something new that I am excited to be using. In my last video, I featured this pen from Estile. They sent this to me for Fountain Pen Day. This was the pen that they promoted. It was 10% off. I'm not sure if they sold out of this. This is called the Radici or Radici. I watched Fig Boot on pens. He pronounced it Radici, and I was calling it Radici. It means roots, and I love this tortoise shell pattern. It's beautiful. This is the Radius Settimo, and it's my first Radius, and I love it so much. What else is new? Oh, I made a trip to the Paper Mouse. I've had this bag on my desk for a while because I was going to do like an official unboxing. I love these little episodes where I can just catch up with you if I forget to do an unboxing. How adorable is the artwork on this bag? The Paper Mouse is such a cozy store. I love this place. And I had a chance to talk with Victor, who's one of the owners. One of my best friends went with me, and we just had the best time. We caught up with Victor. Oh, I was also able to see all the Peanuts pens from Esterbrook in person, and I was pleasantly surprised by them. I love the weight of them, and it was just fun to see all the little details and the clips that go with the series. Let me know if you ended up getting anything from the Peanuts series, and if you were to get something, which would be your pen of choice. I really love the bold contrast of the Snoopy pen. It was just really cool to see it up close and to hold it. So I'm just curious if anybody else has tried the Snoopy pen. What I did end up getting was a new TWSBI. This is the TWSBI that I got. I call this the Cookies and Cream TWSBI. I don't really know the real name. Let me see. This is called the Onyx Carrara. Very cool. And I love the swirl on this. I've been really loving a lot of my affordable pens lately. I think that's another thing I struggle with is some of the higher end pens that I look at, knowing that there are pens like TWSBIs, like the Ass Vines that I featured in a previous video. So I've been really enjoying my TWSBIs. This is my little TWSBI collection here. So this was my very first TWSBI, was the white with the rose gold trim. So you can see the difference between the white with the rose gold trim and the white with the onyx trim. It has this beigey, grayish blue swirl pattern on it, which is really cool. This also has a black nib, which I think is awesome. And while I was there, I also picked up matcha ink from Sailor, and I love this ink so much. Here it is right here. It's on my little shelf. I put that ink in my actual matcha pen from Wancher. This combination is so great. We were talking on the Juicy Broads about the Tea Time release from Sailor. This year's Tea Time matcha pen from Sailor is lovely. It just reminds me a lot of the Pelican pen. I think I mentioned that in a previous video, but this ink is great. Let me see if I can just show you a little sample of it here. It's kind of presenting very Kelly green right now, but there's a softness to it that I really like. I have my little ink journal here, so I'm pretty sure I did a sample I can share with you. Yeah, so this is the matcha. This ink right here is a new ink. It's from Dominant Industries and is called Autumn Forest. Every time I go into the Paper Mouse, I've looked for this ink. It's always sold out online on Atlas. When I went in this time, they had it. I was really excited, so I grabbed that. I haven't bought ink lately, so I was excited to add both of those inks to my collection. So I filled my matcha pen with the green, and I also filled my Irish green with onyx trim. So these are my two onyx trim pens. My white. And then I have all of the coffee ones, of course. This is the cream with rose gold trim. Here's the espresso, just so cute. This is the serpentine, which is really cool. It kind of has that same swirl as the new one. And actually, they just came out with one that has a swirl. I just love that. The new one, I don't think I'm gonna get. It's a blue one. I kind of like all these warm colors. These are two TWSBIs that I got the mystery boxes from Atlas. two separate ones that I won, and they kind of fit really nicely with my little collection here. And then this was my first Diamond 580. I got this in a stub nib, which writes so nice. I got this at the Fountain Pen Hospital a few years ago. This is the smoke with the rose gold trim. And this is my little Twisby Mini Diamond 580 white with rose gold trim. And I bought this at Yoseka on one of my trips to Brooklyn. They're actually getting a little tight. They don't all fit in there, but I love these little ceramic handmade types of vessels. I buy these often when I'm out thrifting, and currently I have two other containers like this that I put my paintbrushes in for watercolors. I don't know if any of you follow me on Instagram. I am still at Time with Tata on Instagram, even though I've changed over to Lori Ann Tata here. But Esterbrook is having a really fun little promotion right now that they sent to some of their affiliates. I was so excited to get this little delivery. This is a little pigeon. Anne Newsack is the artist. She does a lot of the artwork for Esterbrook. Sorry, my camera fell, so I had to readjust. But Anne does a lot of the artwork for Esterbrook on their blotter papers. And she designed this cute little pigeon, and he's just so mischievous looking. Something about his eyes, he's so cute. So we got this. I also got this ink. This is called Pigeon Poop ink. It's a lovely shade of purple. And we also got this little stamp. A lot of people got stickers in their pack. So everybody did an Instagram post who was part of this little release. And we tried to make them somewhat funny. Esterbrook wants us to name this pigeon. So if you want to give the pigeon a name, let me know in the comments. I don't know when you will see this video. He may already be named by the time you watch this video. But I thought it was a really fun campaign that really brings the community together. Esterbrook also had people voting on Discord. They named some of the prototypes that they've come out with. The Peach Bellini is my favorite. And then on Fountain Pen Day, they sold them as one-offs. I think they went live at 10 a.m. and I logged on at 10:11. I don't think they were live exactly at 10 because I was on at 10. I wasn't going to buy anything. I was just curious to see how quickly they sold out. And they weren't live when I first logged in, and then I got distracted and I went back at like 11 minutes past 10 and they were all gone. So if you were one of the people who got one of the prototypes, congratulations. They were lovely. And I know that the community helped name some of those, and there is definitely some momentum to make some of those part of their permanent line, which would be really fun. So Esterbrook's really good at including the community. I'm curious if this little pigeon will be named. So cute. I thought this was such a cute little postcard. I actually put the ink in my Esterbrook Lilac Esty, which was another thing when I was thinking in terms of just the abundance of pens that I have. When I was playing around with this over the weekend, I forgot that I had a special nib grind done on my lilac. So the lilac pen I bought secondhand, and I brought it with me to Orlando because I did not like the nib on it. It was very scratchy, and Kirk Spear turned it into a Waverly nib, which is a Fude nib. At the time, I didn't know that. It's where the nib kind of ticks up a little at the end. He tuned it, and it's such a beautiful writer now. And I had forgotten that I had that nib on that pen. It was so nice to play around with that. The other pen that looks great with this pigeon series is this Ebonite Esterbrook J in the violet. I love this pen. This has a fine stub nib, and it's one of my favorite writing pens in my collection. So I had fun playing with all of my pigeon stuff, and I really think this is cute. And I think they sold this as a bundle for Fountain Pen Day for like $19.99. You got the ink and the stamp and the postcards and maybe the stickers too, but it's a nice little package if you like this color purple and you want to get in on this cute little character. So they said that he is going to show up at different pen shows in different parts of the country. I kind of feel like he's going to be like a little Where's Waldo. He's part of the Esterbrook family. He's really cute. He does not have a name as of today, but he will have one soon. Also at the Paper Mouse store, and this is something I have largely stopped purchasing altogether, I got some washi tape because it is so cute. And it was this little forest theme. I think it's really adorable. The Sterling Ink notebook, the planner that I got for 2026 is an evergreen color. and I will be sharing that shortly with you. I don't decorate a ton throughout the year, but when I do my little setup, I think decorating a little bit can be inspirational for me. So I will probably decorate with this little washi tape. I thought this was adorable. This is a little sneak peek for the new year. I'm transitioning to the Midori 3-year diary. I did buy the 5-year Hobonichi last year and had the mishap with the paper being terrible, and then I didn't send it back to get a new one. I really love this 3-year diary, and I feel like 3 years is a nice number for me because I have a bit of a short attention span. If I can manage to write in this regularly for 3 years, it's going to be an achievement for me. I love the look of this. I loved the hardback, that it's brown, that it comes in this pretty little case. I love Midori paper. My biggest hang up on this notebook was that I had to put in the numbers, like it only says 20 and I would have to write 26, 27. And I decided I just might not write that. I will know that this is 2026, 2027, and 2028. I don't have to write it every single day. And I was really hung up on that. I just decided to let it go. Life's too short to worry about that sort of thing. So I'm really excited to dig into this. I'll talk more about this, but let me know if you keep a daily, yearly diary. And I'm probably going to do like gratitude in here or highlights. I'm going to keep this by my bed because I found that that is like the best place for me to have anything that I want to write in every single day around the same time. And this will be more like a reflection of the day. So having it by my bed at night will work nicely. But I love the aesthetic of this notebook so much. So I'm really excited to dig into that. I'll either do a currently inked video or that video, my journal ecosystem, next. Let me know what you would like to see. One last thing that I want to talk about in the world of analog living, and I'm also going to do an updated video on this, but I wanted to talk a little bit about my little DIY notebooks, my Louise Carmen knockoffs, so to speak. I feel like I've really neglected these more recently. I've been using the real deal, the Louise Carmen medium notebook. I use that every single day. And then I got the Magnum in the London green. It's so dreamy. And I keep that in Boston because it's kind of a big notebook to carry back and forth. I do watercolor in there. I'm struggling a little bit right now with a couple of my notebooks. One is commonplacing. I really have not figured that out yet. And 2 is content calendar. I just kind of have my thoughts all over the place. And my goal was for this notebook to be for my content calendar creation or brainstorming or whatever, but I still haven't managed to get it all in one place. Because I feel like when ideas come into my head, they come into my head, and I don't always have this notebook handy. But I have to say, my favorite thing about these notebooks is how customizable they are. This one came with the black leather. I got this leather in Paris and cut it down. This was the second notebook that I made. And then this one, I dyed the leather. I dyed the leather navy blue. This was natural. But I've had different charms on this straight through, and I'm ready for it to be like a winter theme. I'm considering getting the red portfolio from Louise Carmen to go inside of this or inside of this, because red would look gorgeous with both of these. But one of the ways to refresh these notebooks without buying anything really too expensive is to just switch up the charms. This was on an old necklace that I had in the house that I pulled apart and put on here. I thrifted all of these charms except for this bow. I think this bow was part of a necklace or like a bag charm that I got on clearance at TJ Maxx that had a bunch of charms, and I just popped them off and put them on here. I want to do a winter themed notebook. So my good friend Kim, who I thrift with all the time, found this vintage pin, this little brooch with this beautiful little reindeer on it. And I think this would look so beautiful on this notebook, like this. I also have a bunch of different elastics so I can switch up the color. I had friends who went to Thailand and they got me charms at the hotel in Thailand, and they said they were like 50 cents a piece. The Louise Carmen charms are pretty expensive, and a lot of people say, do I think Louise Carmen is worth it? And for the leather, I absolutely think it's worth it. The feel and smell of that leather, I love. I remember when I was contemplating buying it, there were a couple people who said, I heard it's really thin. I don't think I would like it too much. I also have the Paper Republic notebook. That is more utilitarian. The leather is a little bit more sturdy, but it feels like more of like your average leather notebook. It folds in half. I know they have a trifold, but I have the Grand Voyager and I love it. I brought it to Italy. I absolutely love that notebook. But there is something really special about Louise Carmen to me. It kind of molds to you. And I love that. I don't think the charms are worth the price tag. For me, I was in Paris and it was very special. So that first wave that I bought when I got the Earnest, which is the wallet size, and the medium size like this, buying the charms there made it special. It was my 30th anniversary. They personalized it for me with the stamp. They put my anniversary date, my initials in gold embossing or debossing. I got the Eiffel Tower and I got a heart for my anniversary. So that felt very meaningful. When I came home and I ordered the Magnum from home, the charm seemed less important to get through Louise Carmen. And I spent a fair amount on charms the second wave. I got one of their exclusive ones and it was really expensive. So if you're on the fence about a Louise Carmen, I would say spend your money on the leather, potentially the portfolio, if you really think you're going to use it. I know people sell those portfolios on Etsy or ones like that at a much more affordable price. But if you really can't get it out of your system and you want to get a Louise Carmen, get like the Road Book, which is one of the most affordable. I got the Honore, which has a pocket, which is an added expense. I don't know if that's really necessary if you're going to also get a portfolio, but you know yourself. I really feel that thrifting some charms or going into your jewelry box and getting an old necklace pendant that you're not using anymore, put it on your notebook. I think that's a really fun way to personalize and refresh your DIY notebooks or your Louise Carmen notebooks. You really don't have to spend a lot of money. I think in total, this one cost about $35 to make, which is crazy when you think of how expensive Louise Carmen is. And I love that I made this with my own hands, and I love my charms here. Most of these charms are thrifted as well. But let me know which one you think would look nice with the reindeer and what color cord you would put on it. I feel like that would be really nice to do like a little winter theme. I might try to find like a thrifted snowflake pendant would be really pretty. I think that's all I've got for today. Those are all of my analog thoughts. I do come back to journaling day after day. It's really where I get grounded and I just enjoy sitting at this desk. I enjoy my morning pages every day. It's such a ritual of mine. I really feel off if I don't write on a daily basis. It doesn't even matter what I write. I rarely go back to my journal entries and like look back at them, but it has become like a form of meditation to me. I just really value my time with my fountain pens and with my notebooks and this little creative outlet. I don't even think it's 4 o'clock yet and it is getting dark and I am going to be driving to Boston tonight. So I'm going to get on the road. Thank you for taking time out of your day to be with me. Let me know what's going on in your analog life. Let me know if you struggle to hold back with this hobby or hobbies in general. It is still a struggle for me. And while I did get a pen for Fountain Pen Day, I was proud of myself for not forcing a purchase because the sales were so good. And I pulled out my Saragossa and I really enjoyed this. And I pulled out my Esterbrook Lilac that is 3 years old and I enjoyed that with my new ink. And what I realized was it doesn't really take a new pen to make me happy. In fact, I was happier rediscovering older pens. And really the only regret I have from Fountain Pen Day weekend is the amount of time I spent looking for more pens when I had so many beautiful things right here in this room that bring me so much joy. So I'm glad that I kind of shut it off at some point and enjoyed the weekend and played with my pens and my journals. If you want to join me for future videos, be sure to hit the subscribe button and hit the thumbs up if you had a good time. And let me know some of your video idea suggestions for the end of the year and the new year. I feel like this is the time of year everybody's gearing up to do their favorites of the year, which is always so difficult for me. But I'd love to hear your suggestions and I hope you're having a great week. Bye.